Well, my name's Jacob Tyner. I was born in Oklahoma, Claremore Indian Hospital. It's just north of Tulsa City. And my parents are Gilbert Lee Tyner and Wilma Jean Tyner. And their parents were Bill Tyner and Vera Tyner. And my mother's parents were Bill Denny Jr. and Roberta Winchief. And those are the relatives that I come from, and my family that where I learned how to take care of this Flint fire. They come from my Shawnee people on my dad's side. This was their original way to start a fire. So they told us, this is how you use this rock here, and like I said, the items that we use to start it, and the items that I have here are the flint rock and a dry piece of wood. We call it punk, kind of like that real doty wood that you kind of use, like when people light fireworks, they use that. Those they call them punks. Like it's kind of like what we use too with the wood, and we just use the rock and just try to get a spark off of it and try to get the wood caught. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard too. Like where I'm from in Oklahoma, it's kind of humid down there, so sometimes the wood, you have to keep it in a real dry can or something, and got to keep it in a cool place, because if it gets moisture in there, like sometimes this wood, it won't start. They told us this is how you take care of it, and there's a lot of different protocols that go to it about taking care of it. It's not just like a regular fire, because some people they use fire in different kinds of ways and things like that. And they told us that it was for ceremonial uses. Whenever we have our ceremonies and different doings where we use our tobacco and just different things that we utilize the fire with. So they told us that there's certain things that we use it with, is like the food and water and tobacco and the wood, and those are the items that we use on there. And our smudges too that we use are cedar and sweetgrass, and just things like that are supposed to be used on the fire, and just that, like it's not used for anything else. And then sometimes too, whenever you're preparing ceremonial food, they'll say it's okay to take that fire and go take it to a campfire where you can cook food over it, but just for ceremonial purposes and things like that, you can't just like go start a campfire and just want to because some people they don't really tend to it how they would with a ceremonial fire. You got to watch it all the time from the time you start it, and there's got to be someone tending to it, like they call it a fireman. And so that's what my dad, he taught me, my dad Gilbert, and he showed me how to do this when I was 16, and try to have me do it by myself so I could catch on. And that's the way that I learned how to use our fires and stuff, because he always told me that what his parents and grandparents said, that there might be a time coming where we won't have the use of matches or lighters. So they told us that we might have to depend on our old ways and to try to learn those things so we could know how to survive, because you know how hard it is. Like I said, a lot of times you'll sit there and you'll try to start the fire, and it'll take a long time just to try to get that spark. You'll have a lot of sparks coming out, but it'll take a long time for that wood to catch, and it seems really hard at times, like you want to give up, but then you just, I guess the teachings like that, it's just you got to keep on going and not give up until you reach your goal. And that's kind of like how we want with our prayers and how we say things like that. We just got to keep on praying, keep on trying. And then once we see that spark happen, then that gives us that comforted feeling, like your prayers are being answered, like right then and there. Because myself, whenever I'm starting the fire, I have a prayer in my mind that I'm praying to this. It's a spirit, they said this, and we call it a grandfather fire, and some people they call it a grandmother fire, but it's a spirit like that. So we depend on it. We call it grandpa fire. That's what my family calls it. So I talk to it. I talk to that spirit while I'm preparing it, and I try to, have good thoughts about what I'm doing here. Like how my friend Floyd asked me to come over here and do this. So I was trying to have that good thought that maybe somebody will see that and it'll inspire them to want to try to catch on to something that's being lost, and through colonization and things like that maybe we can gain something back from that and go back to our old ways. And to me that's what it's like too, whenever we're in a ceremonial setting with a fire that started in an ancient way. They said that, like at the beginning of time when the Creator created everything, He gave us all these tools to survive, to live. And that was one of the ways one of the tools He gave us to survive is this flint rock and different things like that. So that's what, to me, just going back to that ancient way of trying to survive, it brings like a real, like a humbling feeling and like a good feeling to myself, just being around that fire. And it makes me feel like I know who I am as a Indigenous person. And then whenever I'm saying my prayers, and then like just now, that was a prayer being said and a prayer being answered whenever I started the fire, and that flame, spark caught onto the wood. That was a prayer being answered right there. So it's like a good feeling in my heart that whenever you're having these good positive thoughts and good positive feelings, that seeing it come about and giving you that affirmation that what you're doing is not just just for nothing, and it's being done in a good way. There he goes. And then you just get a piece of charcoal that you have. And you just get to your bird's nest that I was talking about here. Get where I gather some of this stuff too. Yeah, it catches really fast too. Like it takes time, but then once it starts going, it goes really fast. That's one of my adopted dads said to one of his son-in-laws. My dad was fixing a Flint fire. That's what he said. Pay attention to what my brother is doing here. He's like, it happens really, really fast. So you gotta be watching. And I guess the kid just turned around for a second, and the flame was already, or the spark was already started. Okay. We got it started. That was the whole thought and idea of my family too, is carrying on and perpetuating our native way of living and surviving. And that's what I thankful for, that they invited me over here to come be a part of that, because like the significance of this Flint fire, it's like there's a lot of different stories that people have about the fire. Like, you know, it gives us life, and then it can even take life too, you know. And like even if you, like, you know, maybe you can do, I guess it's how we are as people with faith and belief as Native people, you know. And there's even, you know, people in different countries, they walk on coals and things like that. And we have stories where there was, you know, people, they depend on this fire, believed in it so much that they were able to do those things like that, where they were able to set somebody on top of that wood burning and them not get burned at all, and come out of that with no burn marks, no black anything on them at all. And then that's what one of my grandpas said, that if you believe in this fire, you can do things like this, and this fire won't hurt you, it'll take care of you, but you got to take care of it, and you got to learn how to respect it and learn how to treat it. You can't go over here and just do it any way you want and just throw your wood on top and just throw it anyway. We say it's a grandpa, so you got to treat it like a grandpa. You got to be kind to it, like how you would with a grandpa. You wouldn't throw your grandpa around, or you wouldn't mistreat your grandpa in any way. So you come along here and you treat that fire that way. You just try to do your best to try to be gentle with it, and try to use your knowledge of how you want things with the fire, and it's gonna be that way for it too. Okay, yeah, I could probably just keep on, but I don't want to. I'm just trying to get to the point.
I wouldn't mind listening to some more.
Okay, if you fix up the fire. Yeah, I was really thankful though for my dad for showing me how to tend to a fire. The first time that I ever tried to come around to Native American church ceremony, he took care of fire that night, and it was the first time since I was a little guy that I came around. And I used to sing when I was a kid, and I tried to sing that time, and I wanted to help him, because I kind of seen I went to different ceremonies, and I seen people helping. I wanted to help, and that's what he said, that in our Native American church ceremony, that with this fire, it's a one-man job. It's supposed to be one guy take care of it all night, and there's all different kinds of formalities throughout the night that we use, that we had different stops. We stop at like midnight, and that's the time that the fireman, he comes in and he brings midnight water in for us to drink, and he says a prayer with the tobacco and with the water, and then the cedar man in the ceremony, he either prays or he gets somebody to pray with the cedar. And that first time that I ever went to a ceremony, that's what the cedar man did. He brought the cedar to me, and I never knew how to pray, and I just kind of mimicked how they prayed and how they said their prayers, and that ever since then, you know, when my dad started that Flint fire and he started talking about it that time, it interested in me, and I wanted to try to do it myself too. That's what I was saying. Ever since I was 16, he had me do this by myself and wanted me to try to learn, because like I said, I was born in Oklahoma. Then my mother, she got accepted into the University of Utah, so for her master's degree. So we relocated there and moved there, and I lost touch of my culture. There wasn't really too many native, it wasn't really that big of a native community. So, we really just stayed in the city and didn't really, I guess we became urbanized and we didn't really learn our culture as much. And then in 2004 or 2002, my grandpa got sick, but in 2004 we moved to Rocky Boy, Montana, and that's when I learned how to take care of the fire and learned how to tend to it. And that's what my dad, he told me that that's where we start out, is over there at the fireman position, whenever we want to try to work our way up to where the roadman sits. So we start at different positions in here. That's what he said. You're going to start over there and you're going to learn how to take care of it in here. Because once you learn how to take care of it in here, you'll know what to do when you're over there in the roadman position. So you got to learn how to organize things in here, take care of it. And it's like you're the custodian of this whole ceremony. So you have to take care of it like that. You have to sweep up and you have to do things like that. And then a lot of times I didn't understand either. I thought we were cleaning up, just, trying to make it like a tidy for the stops. But I guess he never really explained to me at that time. But I guess while we're sweeping and we do these things to clean up the altar and the ceremony everywhere where we're sitting at, ceremonial buildings or hogan, teepee, in a home, we sweep up, and then I guess when we come into the ceremony, that's what we come in and we bring those feelings that we have. Maybe someone's not feeling well, maybe they're ailing some kind of way and sick, maybe physically, maybe mentally or spiritually, some kind of way. We come in here and we bring our energies in here, and as you're sitting there, you kind of leave your energy around you. And so as the fireman comes, he cleans up the place, and he's actually taking care of those energies and kind of moving them around, taking them. And a lot of times my family, they take it outside, and a lot of people, they depend on the fire too. They just push it into the fire. However it is, we that's what the fireman's job is, to take care of those things. And throughout the night, I didn't understand, it's a kind of like a long process of learning. It's not something you can just learn in a year or learn in just a couple years. Sometimes you can be in here for many years and still have a hard time still trying to learn and trying to figure things out. So it's like an ongoing process of learning, trying to, and then that too, they always told us that you're not going to figure everything out in here. You're not going to know everything. It's good to try to catch on to things, but there's a lot of things to know, but you're not going to know everything. But they said the things that we depend on, that like our medicine and the fire and the water and the Great Spirit, and those things, they know the things that we don't. So we just come in here and we depend on the elements like that. And we pray to them and we sing to them and we offer food to them and our tobacco and our prayers and things like that. And then that's just the knowledge that I've learned over since the past, I guess, 16 years of going to ceremonies. I've been trying to understand it. Like I said, I'm still learning and still trying to find things out for myself, because I have children myself too. I have 6 kids. My oldest daughter's 15, and I have twins, and I have my youngest daughter is 9, and my son is 7. And my youngest baby is turning 1 next week. So I have a lot of hopes for them, that they'll learn these things and learn things that's going to be beneficial to the future of our Indigenous people, their children, their grandchildren, because that's what my parents said for me. I've never met my grandparents because they passed away when I was 1 year old. So, but my dad, he told me that they said prayers and they said these things like that we would learn about our culture, learn about our way of life here, the surviving as an Indigenous person, because how we are as Indian people, that was stripped from us, and having to learn our culture, our language, and things like that. So when they told us, you depend on the things that we know, and agriculturally, that's what my Shawnee people are. They're farmers, so they farm for corn, and that's one of the things how we use too, is we use our corn in a sacred way too, and how they use pipes up this way up north. Our people, they use the corn husks of the corn, and they put the tobacco in there and they roll it up, and that's kind of like the same significance of a pipe. And we use that in our ceremonies and our sweat lodge ceremonies and our teepee ceremonies and things like that. And that was another thing too, is about my people. That's where they came from. So that's what my family, we try to hold on to those things, is that Indian corn that we got. And they said they gave it to us at the beginning of time, and we don't know when that was. So my family, they've been holding on to that corn in our family since that time, they said. So with the Flint and this the corn, that's the only kind of really things that we have left as our people, and through my family at least. So I was glad that they asked me to come over here and say something, on behalf of this fire, and I can speak for my family. I talked to my dad this morning, and he was just kind of didn't really say much about what to say here. I just told him what I was doing, and he just said that's good, and maybe somebody will learn. And he kind of still goes on to that same teaching where they said, hopefully nothing ever happens where we're gonna have to depend on this fire for survival like that, where we can continue on living and not having to live. I guess they said it's a hard life to try to survive like this, because we know as people trying to get wood to burn every day, it's a hard task just to have wood last one whole night. It's a lot of wood. So just trying to survive throughout the whole year, I'm pretty sure that's even a harder job to try to survive. So they say we have it easy nowadays, so that's what my dad always tried to say. Maybe you guys won't have to experience that, or no one will have to experience that, so we can just carry on this in a good way and not lose it or anything like that.